Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all. Myself Vaibhav. I welcome all of you to today's session of Visual JForex in which we will be continuing to work with the indicator trend envelope. This is the third and the final part involving this indicator, and we will see how we can design and develop particularly the sell side of the equation in today's session. We head to the Visual JForex board which has been developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA. In last two sessions, the developments so far include the instrument subscription, where the instrument of choice is Euro USD. I think here some mistake has happened. I think I had overlooked it, so we will change it straight away. We need on candle instrument to match. Okay, now it has been corrected. And after that the position amount was defined at 0. The trend envelope block have been added with the look back period of 2, and to look at the price volatility we are taking help of the get historical candle. First is hourly and then these two are of 10 seconds each. To calculate certain conditions, certain differences, we have taken into consideration this calculation expressions where we have defined various variables to help us defining the conditions for the execution of the trade, and on the lower side these conditions were put in place for the execution of the buy trade. But later on I realized that for optimum execution of the trade, two small corrections are required, two additional conditions are required to be put in place here, which I think are necessary. So the logic remains as it is, but we have to kind of fine tune it. So we will add two more blocks in this session. For that, we have to consider the penultimate hourly candle closing value as well. We had considered only last hourly candle close. Along with that, we also have to take into consideration the prior hours closing level. So for that, we are going to need info component, get historical candle. Okay, I will change this candle period to hourly. Look back period also needs to be changed to 2, and then I join it here. So the condition that needs to be defined, we will add it using the logical components if block. We have to consider the candle 30 candle close, and compare it to the high band value of that hour, which is high band 11, and the closing value should have been lower compared to this, and in the next hour the closing value rises above the high band value. And along with this we also have to consider the comparison of last hour's closing and opening values, and the closing value needs to be higher, so that condition also need to be defined. So I will consider candle 15 candle close and candle 15 candle open values. Now we take these two blocks on the lower side and add it to the buy side. All right, this condition remains as it is. first input greater than second input. Then we have to consider the candle 30 candle close, and it should have been less, so first input less than second input, and candle 15 candle close should have been higher than the opening value, so first input greater than second input. Okay, so with this, buy side of the equation is complete. Now we can start working for defining the conditions for the execution of the sale trade, and I will give you a brief refresher of sort of what the conditions, what the logic is for the execution of the sale trade. Here we need the momentum to shift from bullish to bearish, and when in the first instance that happens when we see the last hour's closing value being lower than the lower band of penultimate R, we will look to initiate the trade provided the prior hour's closing value was higher than the lower band. So this is the first instance, and if that is the case, we will place the order lower. So whatever is the difference between the closing value and the opening value, we will take that difference and we will subtract that from the closing value of last hour, and that's where the order will be placed, which will be valid for 2 hours. Okay, so logic is kind of simple. Now we head back to the platform, and here we will have to carry out some calculations also. First we define the conditions for the execution of the trade, and after that we will define the parameters for trade command block. We are going to need 5 of these as our formation is going to be symmetric, so we have needed to define 5 conditions for the execution of the buy trade. Same numbers will be needed here. We need the candle 15 candle close to be less than the lower band value, so we consider candle 15 candle close and compare it to low band 11. First input less than second input. Candle 15 candle close less than low band 11, whereas candle 30, which has a look back period of 2, should have closed higher. So we consider candle 30 candle close and compare it to the low band 11. In this case, first input should have been greater, and only in the last hour the closing value dropped below the lower band. Okay, and we need to make sure that the candle 15 candle close was below the opening price, so we consider candle 15 candle close and compare it to the opening price. So here first input less than second input, and as soon as the price will slightly rise compared to the closing value of the last hourly candle, which is candle 15, we will look to initiate the trade. So we have to compare the closing values of the candle 16 and candle 17 with the closing value of candle 15 respectively. So I am going to take candle 15 candle close as the common input in both these blocks. And compare it to the closing values of candle 16 and candle 17. So here first input less than second input, and the candle 16 which has the look-back period of 1, that means this is the last 10-second candle, it should have closed higher, and after that we get in the trade command block. We are using the pending open order. So first input greater than second input is going to be a sell, stop, trade, and now we have to define these input parameters: the execution price, slippage value, stop loss, and take profit, along with the order validity time. So one by one we will define these conditions. Prior to that, I will place these blocks on the lower side. The sell execution price is going to be below the closing value of the candle 15, and it will be calculated by taking into account the difference between the closing and the opening value of the candle 15. So for that we have to consider calculation expression. We are going to need almost, let me check how many. We have already calculated this difference, sell side difference. So all we now need to do is deduct the difference from the closing value of candle 15. Is the difference between the opening and the closing value of the candle 15. Here you can see, as per Excel convention, it will be A1 minus A2, and the resultant price will be the execution price. All right. Now we add that price to this trade command block. Default instrument remains as it is. Trade amount I will change to 0 0.1 million. Slippage will be 2 pips. Stop loss and take profit. I will define the variable, and later on we will complete the calculation to assign it there. Name will be sell side stop loss, and this will be sell side take profit. Order validity we had already defined last time around, which is 2 hours. Now we have to calculate the sell side and stop loss and take profit. For that we are going to need two calculation expression blocks, and this will be in proportion to the difference, actual difference between the opening and the closing value of the last hour, and that is here this variable SST. Whatever is the difference, same will be our stop loss. We simply have to convert it into the integer data type. So for that we multiply it with 10 raised to the power 4 PCF. That was the variable which I had defined last time around. It has value of 10k. So this will be A1 into A2. And this result output value will be assigned to this newly created variable. And take profit will be twice of the stop loss. So whatever is the stop loss, we multiply it with 2 to arrive at the take profit level. And we have this variable in place, OV, with the value of 2. So I simply take that, and again it will be A1 into A2. And we have this variable in place, so I will assign it here. Alright, now we have to join it through the trade iteration flow. Okay, so with this we have defined all the input parameters required for the trade command block of the sell side. So I now place it where it belongs, just after this condition, the logical block. So with this, the sell side execution is complete. So I hope you have been able to understand the logical as well as the execution part of this algorithm involving the indicator trade envelope. I will color code this to make sure that the trade iteration flow is going till the very end, and as you can check, it is working just fine. So that's all from my side for today's session. If you have to cover further developments in the market, do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there also. For carrying out the testing on the historical data, you will need the help of JForex platform. So all these links have been provided in the bio. Thank you all for joining in. See you next time around. Till then, goodbye.